ChatGPT creator OpenAI,
OpenAI has got the wind at its back.
OpenAI in talks now for a new funding round.
Perhaps the biggest AI player out there.
But the next act for the ChatGPT creator will be its toughest. A reorganization.
If they want to go public, they're going to have to reorganize and restructure the company before any of these investors can see some kind of massive return off of that.
A high-profile partnership with Apple.
iPhone 16 raises the bar for what an iPhone can do.
The next breakthrough, and GPT-5 on the line, all led by a CEO who, depending on who you ask, is a visionary or a snake oil salesman.
What do you think of OpenAI? Do you trust Sam Altman?
Not a bit.
I'm Deirdre Boza, and this is Pardon the Disruption. Here's why this is OpenAI's moment of truth.
It's been on the verge of it for a while. It's either it makes it or breaks it.
The higher the climb, the harder the fall. And OpenAI has climbed the tech ranks very quickly.
Google ahead of Microsoft and ahead of Apple next month. Those three giants have had to reorient their entire businesses, Kelly, around artificial intelligence because of what this one startup has done.
And now the stage is set for one of its biggest tests yet, a partnership with Apple.
We're integrating them right into your experiences. And we're starting out with the best of these, the pioneer and market leader ChatGPT from OpenAI.
A $100 billion valuation, one of the few unicorns in history to even reach that level.
It also signals this all-out arms race we're seeing in the valley for these AI.
Oh my God, they're actually, the AI companies are valuated that much, and OpenAI, ChatGPT has gone with Apple. Wow.
AI companies to get more cash. OpenAI with ChatGPT has been considered the leader.
And now its founder is once again in the spotlight, bringing his particular brand of bold execution to one of the largest platforms in the world.
You bring Sam Altman not because you're doing the partnership, but because he's the one that got everybody on board with ChatGPT in the first place.
How did he actually get people on board with ChatGPT? Like, out of nowhere, it literally just showed up and people were really thrilled about it. So how did it really come about?
And he's going to signal to everybody watching this event that Apple is not going to be the one that's going to wait and watch, that this is the moment.
ChatGPT, it's coming to the iPhone, supercharging its reach, putting the chatbot in front of millions of users who may never have interacted with generative AI before.
Which is in
I'm
competition
also
with
excited
Android, by
about
the
a
way.
new generation of iPhone, built from the ground up to deliver Apple intelligence and its breakthrough capabilities.
It's high stakes, high pressure. There is little room for error. A tall ask for a company and a founder that has had a bumpy ride to the top.
Major breaking news related to OpenAI. Steve Kovac joins us now. This is a stunner in some respects, Steve.
Yeah, Sam Altman is out as CEO of OpenAI. We just got this announcement, Scott. I'll read you directly from the release.
It didn't matter if he was out. I mean, technically, he still cares about the company, but he's also made his money. So if that was his goal at the end of it, he's still...
Board saying, quote, Mr. Altman's departure follows a deliberative review process by the board, which concluded that he was not consistently candid in his communications with the board.
Altman ultimately survived that coup, returning in less than a week, but
Wow,
he
I
has
didn't even
since
know that.
lost some of the key people that helped build OpenAI in the first place.
And OpenAI co-founder John Schulman is leaving the maker of ChatGPT to join Anthropic, an AI rival backed by Amazon.
We learned about that major
interesting.
leadership exodus over at OpenAI as top talent, including two co-founders, announced their departures in just the past few days.
Co-founder Ilya Sutskever, who took part in ousting Altman before reversing course and pushing for his return, will exit the board.
Dang, so he had everyone leave.
At issue for many of them, Altman running OpenAI as a for-profit company, one that no longer reflected the non-profit structure it was founded on, and his vast investment empire, including his own venture capital firm and a slew of side projects, raising questions about conflicts of interest. OpenAI says that Altman maintains transparency with the board about his occasional investments and adheres to
occasional investments, which is fair because if he's making money, whatever he's using his paycheck to invest in, that's his business, not anyone else's. So it shouldn't even matter for for this, right?
Process for managing potential conflicts of interest. Altman started OpenAI in 2015 as a nonprofit with the mission of advancing AI that would benefit humanity as a whole and, quote, unconstrained by a need to generate financial return. But building AI, it's expensive. It requires data servers, engineers, energy. The AI chips themselves run up into the hundreds of millions of dollars. OpenAI, it needed investors. And investors, well, they want returns. So in 2019, it updated its structure.
The current structure is unique, which might be an understatement. Equity is actually issued by OpenAI's for-profit subsidiary, which is governed by the nonprofit board.
A very complex hybrid between a nonprofit entity and a for-profit arm.
And so I think that kind of structure is ultimately untenable. You can't be both.
He's also been criticized by former colleagues for running OpenAI as a for-profit company, no longer reflecting the nonprofit structure it was founded on. Its original focus on safe and responsible development, that's made way for a very lucrative business model: subscriptions, licensing, a growing enterprise product, leading one of its co-founders, who left in 2018, to coin it closed AI.
But you still need to make improvements and advancements on it, and you have to reinvest into it, right? You can't just make a car and say this is the best car of all time and not change anything about it, because then someone else is going to make a better car and buy it.
Seem weird that something
It's the same thing here.
can be a non-profit open source and somehow transform itself into a for-profit closed source. I mean, this would be like let's say you funded an organization to save the Amazon rainforest, and instead they became a lumber company and chopped down the forest and sold it for money. And you'd be therefore like, well, wait a second, that's the exact opposite of what I gave the money for.
Yeah.
Is that legal? That doesn't seem legal.
The test now, whether it can balance the tug of war between its nonprofit roots and a more realistic for-profit future. Here's how Emil Michael, an early Uber executive who now invests in AI companies, would advise him.
It's clear to the world now, but it certainly was getting clearer to the board of directors and the donors, of which Elon Musk was a donor and a co-founder, that this was more going to be a for-profit entity. If I were advising him, which I'm not on this subject, I'd say just be who you are. This is a for-profit thing.
Yeah.
Give the donations back to people who thought they were donating to a foundation.
It's the best thing you could do at that moment.
Sam Altman has been a long recurring character in Silicon Valley tech circles, with a work ethic to match.
I've known him a little for a long time. He is responsive. You text, can you talk? And before you can hit send, he's calling you.
Roots in entrepreneurship and venture capital.
There.
He is raising money at ever higher valuations, and he's drawing interest from the biggest players in the tech world. Microsoft was first, with an initial $1 billion investment in 2019 that quickly swelled to $13 billion. And now Apple and NVIDIA may be poking around, hoping to invest
Hold on a minute.
$13 billion. And now Apple...
Off topic. They literally put Apple headquarters in the middle of a suburban neighborhood. Oh my god. Literally, the cutoff of the neighborhood is right there on my mouse on the left side. That's the cutoff. Suburban neighborhood, suburban neighborhood, suburban neighborhood, up to the tree. Then it's neighborhood, work, apartment, coming around the corner, apartments, I think. There's a factory, I think, there, and then another building. They literally put it smack near a suburban neighborhood.
And NVIDIA may be poking around, hoping
Off
to
topic.
invest themselves and capitalize on OpenAI's winning streak.
You might call it a party round. That's what they would call it in Silicon Valley. But you've got names like Microsoft, you've got Apple trying to back the hottest name in Silicon Valley.
But some tech observers are throwing cold water, saying that OpenAI's sky-high valuation does not match the returns.
He's able to raise money at these very, very high valuations without having to demonstrate the progress that he promised a year or two ago.
I think I know he's right. But at the same time, people are investing into something that they know everyone will be using until it basically makes or breaks, like I said. So maybe some people would ask for a return, but a lot of those people might hold out on it before they ask for a return. I mean,
And, as long as those
knows?
incentives are misaligned, you shouldn't trust him. And, there's a lot of history here. And as an investor, I'm looking at this thing going, wow, it's interesting because the promises of 2 years ago and the promises of 1 year ago have not come true. The only thing that's come true is that he's raised more money at higher valuations.
Michael, though,
and he might be
says
pocketing
that
it too,
big tech
but
interest
who knows?
is more strategic.
You can't assume until you have the facts, right?
Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft are strategic investors, meaning they weren't just looking for financial return. They did it because they want to have some alignment with the technology that this company's building. Microsoft, we know, uses it in their Office products. Nvidia, we know, makes a lot of money indirectly from OpenAI because OpenAI runs on a lot of their hardware.
True.
So they have a strategic interest in doing that.
Generative AI has now become synonymous with OpenAI after ChatGPT's launch in 2022 went viral and changed the entire conversation around
2022?
what AI
Wow.
can do.
He's at the most important company, and he's ready
Even
to
though they've been
a lot of
starting-
money, and people are scared
Or
about what
around
AI
since
could do,
2015.
and really excited about what AI could do. So it's a focal point for the whole world right now.
Since then, no one has been able to replicate that moment.
Yep.
Not Microsoft, with reports of its flagship product, Copilot, disappointing customers. Not Apple, which is staggering and pushing back the launch of some AI capabilities on the iPhone. Not even Google, with its decade-long lead in AI. It turns out it wasn't any of those well-capitalized giant tech companies with the mainstream generative AI moment. It was Altman that got it done.
People think of him as a technologist. He's actually a technologist and a great businessman, too. If anything, he was somewhat naive about this board coup. Or maybe that's the one thing that he's got to make sure that he's being more paranoid, as I was, or Travis
aware
was
of.
at Uber, about what could happen. And how do you insulate yourself against other people's interests kind of getting misaligned with yours?
Now, a new race is on. Big Tech and OpenAI, they're developing the next, more advanced phase of AI, getting closer to artificial general intelligence, where machines could perform tasks with human-like intelligence.
I think that's where it comes back to the job market part, because then people start losing their jobs. Even though you could have someone monitoring this, you only need a good handful of people to monitor it. You don't need an entire workforce. So technically, the AI part will be taking over, and we're put out of a job unless everyone just starts learning coding, something in tech and things like that. But basically, AI will put us out of a job.
OpenAI will be under intense scrutiny to ensure that GPT-5 is safe, transparent, and reliable. And it wants to get there first. Another GPT moment in the AI arms race. Jensen Huang, the AI kingmaker himself, he says that the glory and the leadership goes to the person or company with the breakthrough, not the incremental advance.
The first person to the next plateau gets to introduce a revolutionary level of AI. The second person who gets there is incrementally, better or about the same. So the ability to systematically and consistently race to the next plateau and be the first one there is how you establish leadership.
That leadership is now OpenAI's to lose.
Because now they're in competition with everything else that's coming around, right? Like who are the other ones? It was, where are they? There it is. CoreWeave, Anthropic, Scale, and Figure. Right, that's their competition right now. I mean, Google has Google Assistant and something else. I think Gemini or something. Someone's got Gemini. Like someone in the comments, just let me know who's got Gemini, because I can't remember. But this is the competition right now for OpenAI. I mean, we'll see, man. In the next few years, what will OpenAI do for us, and will it actually make or break in that moment?